My friends, hello and welcome to GoldenEye's SpeedLore as we continue our exploration of DLTK SpeedLore, examining not only the most remarkable speedruns throughout GoldenEye history and the world record progression on various stages through the lens of the gamers and speedrunners who dedicated countless hours to speedrunning this stage, but we're doing so on the most difficult difficulty possible, the maxed settings, as we see laid out here. However, tonight, the twist is that we'll be looking at Surface 2, which ironically is the easiest of all stages in DLTK mode, at least the easiest to get a completion and survive. That being said, the runs we'll see tonight will balance a fine line between a high risk of mortality, because there's still a good chance you'll pass away, but they'll also use modern speedrun strategies to improve the times to quite a significant point as quickly as possible. We get some remarkable runs tonight, so let's get to checking them out. So the first run we're going to watch tonight is one of the earliest DLTK Surface 2 runs we could find. You know, there were some very early claims back in 2004, which we would have gone over in the initial episodes, of the first guys to beat the level in about 2 minutes. And it was one of the first levels to be beaten. But this run we're going to watch here was done in September 2005 by none other than Wouter Jansen. And right off the bat, we're going to dedicate this run to a SpeedLore champion, and this one goes out to our pal, 4-Day Bender. A huge thanks to you, 4-Day Bender, for your loyal support of SpeedLore on Patreon. So let's take a good look at this Wouter Jansen Surface 2 DLTK 154. And so if you know Surface 2 from a speedrunning perspective, you'll know that, you know, oftentimes you'll hope to get a grenade from a guard in order to use this to destroy the communications gear, which is one of the objectives. Now the problem is on DLTK it takes 10 headshots to shoot a guard pulling a grenade, and so you're at risk of getting hit by the other spawning guards early in the stage. This Clob guard here, you're not really at as much of a risk of passing away or other guards interrupting you there, because he's pretty isolated, he's in his own cabin, there's not too much going on there, so you can pretty well get to him and shoot him and you're fine and dandy, which is great. But naturally, one of the first things that we can think of now as we watch this beautiful run from 18 years ago, hard to believe, is will at some point the runners get a grenade pull off of the guard? And look, that KF7 guard easily could have passed Wouter away. I'm going to go back and rewatch that moment once we see this run here come to its conclusion. You see, there we go. Objective A complete. He's got all the cameras. That was going to break the communications link. Objective B completed. A guard might come chase him in here, and it's a bit risky to switch to mine. You know, thinking about it hard, I probably wouldn't switch to the mine there, because you're at risk of, if a guard comes in, you want to at least injure him to give yourself a bit of space to escape him. But there we go. Throw the mine. You have to land the mine, clutch it out after a whole run, which is a bit scary. Gets in there, and it is Surface 2 DLTK 154, which is the earliest video of a record we have on the stage. A great run by Wouter Jansen there. And he'll go back here and he'll show us these max settings. So pretty cool stuff. Very good run. And just for the record, you know, I just want to check out the previous world record history. Trent had 204 in 04. Wouter beat it to 202 in 04. Trent got 155. So a couple back and forth between Trent and Wouter, and then Wouter got this 154, and it would remain the world record for 3 years. This was like the first solid video recorded world record of a Surface 2 DLTK speedrun, frankly, and it was a speedrun, no doubt. Let's just go back here and see how close the guard was, if we can even see it. Yeah, so I can't even really discern where that guard was, but thankfully, probably due to their elevation difference, like Wodar's on top of the snowbank there, and the guards down below, there was some sort of difference in that the line wasn't exactly right, so that the 100% shot didn't land on Welder and hit him, which would have done 10 bars of damage and passed him away. So great run, 154. Love to see it, and great run to get us started. So huge thanks to Welder. Now, something I love about this DLTK SpeedLore is that we get to encounter so many interesting and rare individuals in the episodes who don't come up very often. And I've probably mentioned this fellow once or twice in an episode, but Perfect Taste, Patrick N., a very interesting fellow who did speedrun GoldenEye a bit here and there. He actually slayed, I want to say it was my Surface 2 Agent 51, and kind of an unexpected world record slay at the time. But he also slayed Wodar's 154. We're gonna watch that run. Let's just put it on here while we share our memories of the fellow. And he's actually, I don't want to say well known in this regard, but one thing that he is known for among N64 gamers is that he was one of the first guys to like really start optimizing the game Mickey's Speedway USA. If you go to speedrun.com and click around for Mickey's Speedway USA, you'll probably see a lot of these, a lot of his runs, and some of them I haven't looked in a while, but some of them might still be world records. And he was one of the first guys to really push that game down from just like casual, early age attempts to kind of a more modern speedrun philosophy. And it is interesting shooting the Clobs over there. He's probably trying to lure the KF7 guard away from being at the door of the satellite building when you approach there. So he's strayed a bit from his line, a touch bit, unoptimal line, but then again, we're on DLTK, and so things are unlikely to be optimal for a long time, if ever. And most stages they will never be, We can see guards running around, so clearly his lure worked. And something you definitely do see on DLTK is like a lot of like esoteric knowledge, like, the strategies, especially at this point in time, this is 2008, weren't super well fleshed out. And so you would play the level, you would experience things, and you would sort of come up with like your own strategies and act accordingly, which is like really kind of cool and interesting, and I'm sure that shooting the Clob to lure those guards was one of those strategies that Patrick came up with here. And we can see here he tied Welder's 154, so another very nice run, very nice quality run here on Surface 2 DLTK. Very good stuff. Now, this run would slay Welder's 154, as we discussed, and it would be beaten about 3 months later by Illu, and we know Illu is kind of the master of these DLTK, runs. Especially at that time, he was one of the first to beat many of the stages. But what I kind of find interesting is that Illu got 153, which was not recorded. The reason it probably was not recorded is because 3 days later, he would beat that 153 with a 151. That one is recorded, so let's watch that 151. And this certainly wasn't uncommon at the time. It's kind of like you weren't making videos every day. Nowadays, you're there hanging out on your computer. It's kind of funny. You're playing video games, but you're on your computer recording and maybe streaming. And so when you get a new personal record, you just, a few clicks, 5 minutes of work, and you've made the video, and posted on YouTube or highlighted it. But back in this era, you maybe had to, stop the DVD recording or the VCR recording and then like plug it into your computer and the capture card and render the file and all sorts of that stuff. And so if you were playing for like a week, you might not make a new personal record video until you got the time you were satisfied with, and you know, then would go through the process of rendering out the video footage. And you know, that is why we've seen a lot of sort of lost world record claims from the late 90s, early to mid 2000s. And this one is no doubt exactly like that. And you know, Illu's there. This is June 11th, 2008. And it's one of those things too where it seems like, we'll get into this with the next run, there may have been a bit of a rivalry brewing, because and these things just kind of form naturally, you know. It's like sometimes that's kind of it really is such kind of a beauty to the online, oh my god, he got hit by a clob shot which did 6 bars of damage, which you can survive one clob shot. It does 6 bars, so that's actually pretty remarkable to see. It actually boosted him forward too, which is quite nice. And you just cleaner lines and camera execution, a bit of a missed warp there, but even so, he's got that 151. New Surface 2 DLTK world record, and there's the stats there. But it is kind of beautiful how, like, you know, out of nowhere, you know, the level, you know, Wouter got his run in 05, Patrick March 08, and then all of a sudden, in the span of 2 days, we're going to see a number of world records set, and it's probably Illu and our pal Clemens just like decided, like, let's try to push this level a bit. I bet lower is possible. You know, I'm just gonna verify my source here, but I actually want to say this is June 08. I have a hunch that maybe Clem was playing Surface 2 like double O agent at the time, and so that can sometimes sort of be a catalyst to, you know, playing the DLTK mode. Okay, so it isn't that that timeline doesn't exactly add up, but the principle is still there. Like, sometimes getting a world record on another stage can be the catalyst to have a look again somewhere else. And so this is the run Clemens got one day after Illu's run, June 12, 2008. So hard to believe that's 15 years ago now. But it is an amazing and remarkable speedrun, and so we will dedicate this one to our SpeedLore champion, the good old one and only Soul O'Rock. A huge thanks to you, Soul, for all your support of SpeedLore on Patreon. Truly appreciated. And let's take a look and see what Clem whipped up for us in June 2008. And you know, as we know, I mean, still, the run is going to be far from an, like, optimized speedrun. I love this kind of buzzing in the background. Let's, like, whether it's the CRT or, like, VCR static, whatever it is, it's such a, you know, nostalgic vibe. We also see him get hit by a clob right away. He's kind of taking an aggressive line right alongside the tree line. And one thing that's definitely true is, like, you can sort of, like, tease the guards, sort of, if they're clob guards who are spawning clob guards, okay. You can almost, like, play around with their positioning and, like, get them to sort of, like, move or chase you or crouch by, like, looking at them and kind of loading them in weird ways. And if you're playing this for the first time, your first ever completion, you'll probably do that. We see Clem get a 2-clip second camera there, which is decent. Kind of more speedrun style than the earlier ones we saw. And he goes for this cam. I mean, the thing is, he did have the 00 Untied at this point, so we're seeing someone who's very good at this level. He had 126 at this point, which is, like, Untied, which is still way ahead of my even personal record. So he's good at shooting the cameras from afar, which is a big thing. But yeah, early on when he got hit by the clob, he was just kind of YOLOing it, just strafing along the side of the tree line, and whatever happens, happens. And it's a good strategy to have because you're looking to save some time. He's just going to run there and if he gets shot and dies, like, so be it. He'll just start again, and that's kind of speedrunning in a nutshell, so to speak. Opens and warps. So a couple things that I'll go back and point out here that I found interesting on this run. 149, very nice. Let's see him load up the stats here. There we go. So, again, like, not a perfect third camera. He almost hit in the first shot. On his double Untied, he would hit that shot. But it's like second or third shot, you know? So, like, maybe loses 3/4 of a second there. Here, he YOLOs this. He really, like, oftentimes if you shoot the comms area like this, it won't all blow up. And so, like, you'll often get it half blown up. You'll get what we call comms link damage instead of a completion. And that's annoying. But, like, again, he's kind of, like, YOLOing it to try to get a better run, a faster run. He could have, you know, sat there for 1 or 2 seconds and really looked and stared it down to make sure it completed. But he wants to go for a good run. He wants to YOLO it. And it actually was kind of... He missed a B press here. So he probably lost, like, a second at the end. It could have been 148 maybe. And yeah, it could even have been lower and lower, like, better, you know, you had 2 clips second camera, so like maybe 3 seconds there, lost a second to third camera, like, a really optimal clean run like this could go down to 145, 144, 142. And again, this is still getting the key from the first guard in this room with 10 headshots. Now, of course, on 00, you'll know the strategy is to get a nade, and then you don't have to go in here. You can just throw the nade outside the building to blow up all the comms stuff, then go in and peek and just shoot out the camera and leave. And that must save like 10 seconds. And so over the course of years and years, it was kind of wondered, like, when will someone do it, you know? And I think what's kind of funny is, like, in a weird way, I mean, I always kind of wonder, like, what the history of the game would look like if no one ever... Well, if the Twitch era didn't come along and, like, reignite a lot of the energy, you know? I do love my silly metaphors, right? But it's like, in a way, you know, Clem got this run in 08, and the community, the gamers, the speedrunners were kind of gassed out. So you can imagine, like, natural gas, you know, flooding, and it's just, will it dissipate, and or will a spark reignite it? And the Twitch era is what did that. And so come 2012, 13, 14, new eyes on the game, new players coming along, and they're hoping to etch their own name in history one way or another. And that is exactly what an upcoming gentleman would do. Before we do get to that, I just want to show, like, this is such a vibe. This is Bix Brandon Sanford. He never had the world record on Surface 2 DLTK, but I just love this vibe of the play up there. Like, that to me is so iconic. This shot here, like, that is so good. It just, I mean, this shot here just has this kind of, like, analog, it's called, like, analog horror is the kind of new trend, similar to, like, liminal spaces type of thing, and this just nails it. So we might watch a Bix run later, but we're not going to watch, this was a 156, a decent run. It looks like this one was captured by Base Boost based on the sort of shaky streakiness of his capture card. He installed his capture card incorrectly, and a lot of GoldenEye runs look like this as a consequence, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. But as that arcs through the passage of time, we come here to 2014. And in 2014 came along a young lad by the name of Mirror Mage. And Mirror Mage would go on to get a couple Untieds in GoldenEye. I want to say at least 2? Yeah, it's got to be at least 2. And he got Depot Agent 23 is like the most iconic one. But before then, and Surface 2, Secret Agent 47. So he got a couple of good Untieds that are very respectable. But before he got all those, he would play Surface 2 DLTK. And he would look to become the first player ever to do something quite remarkable on the stage, which would save a lot of time. And as a result, my friends, we will dedicate this speedrun to a SpeedLore champion. And this one goes out to our pal, FC Bojangles. A huge thanks to UFC for all your support of SpeedLore on Patreon. Much appreciated. Let's check out this amazing, appears to be a right ear run from Mirror Mage. Let's take a listen here. So we get this nice cutscene with the beautiful AMV watermark in the bottom left. And he's going to keep quitting. I wonder if he was looking for a specific cutscene. This one, perhaps. He's going to come over here, and let's take a look. Looks up. Gets a nade pull. 2 or 3 reactions from the guard. It was like his 3rd reaction, but he got a nade pull. You can see it takes some time to shoot the guard 10 times and get the nade, but now he doesn't have to go into this room, into this cabin. He can shoot the camera from afar, which he gets in 2 clips, decent, and now he can carry on. Two clips, second camera, pretty decent. He's going to carry on up here, go for the 3rd camera. 1 shot, very nice. Now he's going to pull the nade. Start priming it about now. 2, 3, 4, throw, 5. I was a bit early. Blows up the comms link. You don't want to choke that. Shoot the last camera, gets it in about 3 shots. Oh my god. I wonder if he ever passed away from the KF7 guard there. I'm sure some people who tried this did. And so you have your world record glory taken from you by a devious KF7 guard. And chucks the nade, misses the warp, loses about half a second there. But remember, the record was 149, and now it's 138. 11 seconds cut. And look at that, 11 headshots. Beautiful. Beautiful symmetry there, and a beautiful run by Mirror Mage. You know, incredible and historic. He really pushed down this DLTK effort, cutting 11 seconds by use of a strategy that everyone knew was possible, but like nobody had pulled off yet, and he was the first, and so he reaped the rewards. And it's like, in a lot of ways, that too is what speedrunning is all about. Like, sometimes you know, like, okay, there's a strategy out there. No one's pulled it off yet. If I do it, I can etch my name in history. Whatever, you know, little bit of history that may be. It actually reminds me of a discussion with a fellow leader, Geiges, where we were discussing, like, what if you could etch the entire world record history of GoldenEye in stone somewhere, you know, leaving it as like a very permanent record for future generations. That'd be pretty cool. So maybe someday when we're old and you know, who knows, but I just had to throw that in there, you know. And I think one thing that's kind of interesting or notable about Clemens' 149, we can see it just got destroyed by 11 seconds. Even so, it was Untied for 6 years and 4 months. Mirror got this in October 2014. So 6 years and 4 months is like 2,400 days, 500 days. That's not even in the top 10 longest standing DLTK or LTK levels ever, which is kind of insane to think about, you know, like it in a way shows you how a lot of these levels are kind of like underplayed severely, but it also shows you like a lot of them are really good and tricky records that like nobody wants to go pursue because they're so difficult. Mirror's 138 would remain untied for about 2 years, but then, you know, another familiar pal would come along, fresh off of actually getting an untied world record on 00. And so if you think to July 2016, maybe some very, very keenly tuned GoldenEye minds will remember that the big boss man got this iconic 124 on 00 Agent in July 2016. And I guess he wanted to, he definitely like wouldn't have had the Untied sweep Agent, Secret 00, LTK, DLTK, but he at least won the latter 3, 00, LTK, and DLTK. Agent and SA were kind of like maxed. So he, you know, he probably had the world records on those stages, but he won the 5-way record sweep and at least the 3 most difficulties Untied sweep. And so he would set out to go do that on Surface 2 DLTK. And let's take a look at Big Boss Man's 137. So the guard pulled a nade right away, which was quite nice. Quite friendly of him to do. Three clip first cam, and like I didn't hear the lens get hit there, so like he probably hit 5 side cam shots to blow it up, which is kind of hurts. But he's gonna go for a really YOLO second cam to compensate. So aiming through the window with that angle can do it, and that was like pro and experienced to hit it like that. Nails that one, so he's like back on pace now. And again, the first guard pulled the nade instantly, so he didn't have to like wait for recovery animations like Mirror Mage had to do. 2, 3, 4, 5. Check to be completed. That camera's hard, like you cannot see it. Oh my god, he injured the guard, but that guard easily could have hit him. And I think he closed the door himself to protect himself there, which obviously isn't a very experienced thing to do. Chucks the mine, bingo bango, opens the door and nails it. Very nice and clean run by Boss. $137, Surface 2, DLTK, great run. And there's the max stats. And yeah, he got the Untied world record, which he had been attempting to get for, you know, and he also would get it on, like I said, 00 and LTK. And you know what? We might even get into some of the LTK levels in a little bit here. So stay tuned, baby. And hey, Boss's run would remain untied for about 2 years until the young and intrepid Dusky Charlie would come along and, you know, I guess he saw an opening, like, DLTK piqued his interest. You know, he's a very interesting character. You know, I think he got like 20th maybe on the classic rankings, the, you know, normal mode rankings. But he got a number of very decent times, and certainly I guess he decided to play DLTK at some point and went for the record here. And again, it shows you that you can do it, you know? 1 clip first camera, so that's, he's got a hot run going for him, that's what I'll say. Very clean video capture as well. He's quite a you know, a tech whiz, I'll say. He knows his stuff. So clean video capture. Nails another camera there. coming up over here. Ooh. 2 last shot of the second clip. That was a bit painful. Gets a boost there. Any more hits and he'll depart the earthly coil, as they say. Throws it up. So that guard is probably going to come in and chase him. 2 shots there. Nice brightness. Oh my... That is amazing. Like, wow. That was some... like, a guard threw a nade, which killed 2 of them there who possibly would have come and finished him off. And sometimes you just get those breaks, man. Like, 136 Surface 2 DLTK. There's the stats. That is unbelievably amazing. Yeah, we see this comment from Illu down here. Amazing with the nade killing 2 guards at the end. The way you did the mind throw looked a bit risky. Mind throw never fails like that. It's in my tutorial. I rarely miss it even in practice. So hey, there you go. I mean, Dusky really practiced and grinded hard, and he was rewarded with a DLTK Untied, which certainly not everyone can claim to have achieved. 2 shots there. And, like, it's insane that if it did, like, imagine he died from the nade explosion. Like, that's certainly possible, too. So, like, yes, he had a bad third camera, which sticks out. That went wrong, but, like, a lot else went right. And it's like, at this point in time, you think some, like, probably with a better third camera in this run, 133, maybe? So, we'll see how things improve from here. Later that year, 2018, we would see Illu. Oh, we had a live streamed video footage. Just this, I'm keen for this.
But it doesn't seem like it takes too long to get a nade here. I got it. I fucked up the first clip. Yeah. Now there's a risk that there's more guards and shit, probably. Is this it? Second clip cam. Oh, well, tied. I think, no. I think it's tied. Tied record.
So hey, that was pretty cool, and it's always a pleasure to listen to an Illu run play out, listen to his commentary. I mean, that kind of really gives me good nostalgia from introducing everyone to Illu in the Aztec episodes. I mean, 6 years ago now. It's insane to think this run took place a year after the Aztec episodes first aired in 2017. I mean, that almost sends chills down my spine, if I'm honest. That's insane. But it's always a pleasure to listen to Illu here. And yeah, you got the tied record. And it's kind of funny, he didn't know it was the tied record necessarily. You know, the normal mode records are sort of cemented in our heads. Like, everyone knows all 60 of the records pretty much if you're speedrunning the game. But the LTK and DLTK ones are a lot more fluid, and you know, they're not the main league. They're cool in their own right. But, you know, you'd be hard-pressed to name every single one, and so he didn't know that it was a tied record exactly when he got it. But he did get it, and that was very cool. And yeah, 136 by Illu. And it's always cool to see him come back up here on these DLTK episodes, even as the years go by, you know. So, nice job, Illu. Interestingly, though, and this is, you know, I certainly notable, Dusky would return. Now, this took place in January 2020, so I wonder, January's usually a LTK and DLTK side league that go on, like the Summer Fantasy League. It's like a side league, you know, a month at a time when you play the game and get some points, and you know, a little, like fantasy sports, you know, in addition to what's already ranked and stuff. And so I suppose, if I had to guess, Dusky was probably playing in the LTK league and figured, okay, you know what? There's probably a few seconds left on the table from my 136. Let's see if I can get an Untied. Again, improve the record and maybe get some points for my team. It's possible there was no fantasy league, but hey, it makes for a bit of backstory, you know, so we'll roll with that. And so Dusky gets the nade. Again, Illu's run was pretty clean, all things considered. Dusky's run, he probably lost 2 or 3 seconds on the third camera rather. So let's keep a keen eye out and see how this run goes as he strafes towards the second cam. One clip second cam, which is always decent. That's always like, you know, you can be more YOLO. Every camera, oh my god, the guard, that is really fortunate in a way. The guard like pulled I mean, that's wow. I was not expecting that. The guard pulled a nade as opposed to shooting him, and then gave him 1 boost on his way back. Oh, so Dusky's gonna go for the outdoor camera, and that did. There was some action on Double Agent around this time, and the window shot is what we call that. It became kind of vogue, you know. It was one of those like theoretical strategies. Oh my god, that mind throw does look risky. Misses the warp. Oh my god, this run is... There's a lot to say about this run, but I think Dusky sums it up well in his personal record comment. There it is, 134 DLTK. So, 2 second Untied. He says, actually comedic, lul, which I agree with. Like, so much of that run was missing the warp is like the chair on the top, but also just the guard pulling the nade there. So lucky that this, you know, the guard spawning is like in relation to, I guess, when you shot the first one, this guy comes in and spawns, and also relate to like the lag on the stage where you're looking so many things. So the odds of him appearing there are like not every run. It's a bit unfortunate, but he got lucky that the guard decided to pull a nade. Then he still manages to focus and nail that camera pretty well, and then he gets hit once coming back. Could have gone wrong, could have gone terribly, but actually comedic is the best way to describe that run, no doubt. And yeah, the window shot's cool. It's one of those strategies that was like known about for years, decades, and people just like didn't put pen to paper with it on real runs for a long time, which is kind of weird. And then finally, around 2020, it became like kind of the common. It's one of those that people like put off, like, oh, it's too hard, I'll do it later. And then finally, around 2020, people started incorporating it more frequently into runs, and there's a lot of strategies like that throughout the history of GoldenEye. Given the developments of the new era and new strategies, we would see our old pal Boss come back to the foray. September 2020. You know, a good Boss run, always worth a SpeedLore dedication. And this one's going to go to our pal Sammy Limex. A huge thanks to Sammy Limex, the SpeedLore champion, for all your support of the series on Patreon. Truly appreciated, Sammy. Let's check out what Boss did in September 2020. And now I have a hunch. I could be incorrect, but I have a hunch we may see something even more new here. But let's give it a close watch and see. If I expect at the very least, we're gonna see the window shot. Look at this. Very interesting. No nade yet. No nade yet. One clip first camera. You know, will he get the nade later? You know, what will happen? Didn't go into the room for the key card either, you know, so let's see what we got here. Nice. Very nice. Two shot second camera. That's really good. Fifth shot, third camera. Gonna carry on, baby. Let's take a look. Some club shots. Window cam here. Oh my god, he's gonna go in. Doesn't go upstairs. Oh my god. Okay. Backs up. Shoots through the wall to destroy the table and the comms link. That is a strategy which was discovered and popularized around this time, 2020, which we call the British window. There was a lot of sort of nomenclature going around, discussions, what do we call it? It's called the British window. It's a small opening where stuff passes through. You're just far enough in such a way that the wall's unloaded and your shots pass through the wall, but still impact what's behind it, the comms link. And so what's interesting is shooting out the British window is actually slower than throwing a nade, right? You have to turn around, back up, aim. That being said, you're able to do it every time, whereas getting a nade pull is like a once every 20 or 30 minutes thing. You have to clutch out a run when you get a nade, which is rare, and a lot can go wrong, obviously. This affords you to play out every single run every time. And that added consistency goes a huge way in optimizing everything else. You know, we saw like, you know, Dusky's runs, for example, were like had missed shots and were silly and so on. So you're afforded the opportunity to really make it happen and put together a really, really nice run. And that's what Boss was able to do here with this 133. Thanks in part, largely in part, to the British window. It's like, it's tight. Like, I've actually never hit it or PB with it. My PB is like ancient on this, on Surface 2 00 Agent. But it helped a lot of guys improve their personal records on the stage significantly. And it helps Boss get the Untied once again on Surface 2 DLTK. There's another like shot, there's another spot, and we might see it come up later, called the finish window. It's like from a different angle, but if we cross that bridge, I'll point it out then. In the meantime, we're going to watch JD Black tie Boss's run a week later. You know, again, this window strat was quite in vogue at the time, and so a lot of guys were playing it and trying to lower the world record. So let's see what JD pulled off here. JD often has these funny recordings where he's able to record like the in-game footage and audio while he's like in a voice call with friends, you know, just gabbing it up with the boys. And so you get these funny sort of thoughts and facial reactions with like little context in his runs, and it kind of makes for a very charming run in some ways. Nice shot, but he kind of was misaligned leaving there. It looks like he's really going to YOLO this. He's going to go for like the YOLO window shot on the second camera, which is quite nice. Oh, but he did not hit it. Oh my god. This... okay. So the fence shot is a thing, and at this point in time, Fernando Almeida was the first guy to incorporate that on Double O Agent and get an Untied with it around this time. Early 2020 actually is when he revealed in Project 2020. Man, it's crazy. This is like three plus years ago now. Oh my god. Has to shut the door on the guy. Still at risk of getting hit. Oh my, it's like terrifying. Like so much can happen. There's a guard running at him. But yeah, I guess because JD's second camera was so bad, he went for the fence shot and made it happen, you know? Sometimes you just gotta go for something and make it happen, and that's what he did. 133. He is not mega thrilled with it, but he's, you know, like, well, it's a record. And there we go. 133 Surface 2 DLTK. Quite funny. And yeah, let's take a look here at the fence shot. So it's like there is like a pixel in which your shot can pass through that mound of snow. Like it's something about like the draw distance or render distance gets thrown off because the fence, they like definitely programmed the fence to be like transparent and for things to pass through the fence, you know, as they should. And it makes it so you can pass through stuff behind it as well. Like if you were in front of the fence, this wouldn't work, but it passes through the mound, through the building, through the cabin, and hits the camera. And for whatever reason, it does impact the camera, despite not impacting the stuff in front of it. It's a really weird thing, but the fence shot, you know, hey, that's speedrunning for you, you know? So a nice run, 133 by JD. But of course, that second camera left much to be desired. And he wanted lower, and so the next day, he would go and get this run. And again, it's unlikely you're ever going to get like a perfect run in these things. But, you know, you do your best and you get as close to perfect as you can. He looks like he's going for a snack there. You know, hey, we all have our preferred snack item while gaming. Nice 2 clips first, like that's standard. A 1 clip first camera is like quite insane. You know, it's not exactly every day you get a 1 clip first camera, so there we go. Again, 2 clips second cam. Okay, did not do that well at all. He's got to go for the fence shot here. Nails it. Again, for me personally, that's like a 1 in 200 thing to that shot, but a lot of these guys get it like 20% of the time. Like, they're insane. I have no idea how they can do it that well. I've noticed a lot of them kind of like hang up on that pillar there for a second. It's probably is like to space out sort of the position of that guard. And so for that much thought to go into it, like you can't just rush out there. They might be reloading as well after the cam shot. But it's like an additional bit of thought that has to be processed. And look, he knows he nailed it. Even though like that second camera was still terrible, like he knows that this is the Untied. He knows it was better than his 133. And it was, and he's pumped watching that one again. And 133, 131, Surface 2 DLTK, quite a nice run. Quite a nice run. There's all the cheats, baby. Now, once again, it was not perfect. Better certainly possible. And so on and off for the next month, JD would continue going. And it looks like he was playing Facility and just decided to start up some Surface 2 session. That's how things go oftentimes, you know, no doubt. Let's see what happens. This one might be like a YOLO'd clutched run. I have a feeling, you know, or I know, that this is a pretty insane run. So, let's see what happens. There we go. Nice camera shots. One clip. Always a pleasure, one clip. There we go. One clip, second cam. One clip, fence shot. That's all that matters. Like, you know, you're not going to get too greedy with that. I mean, I'm genuinely impressed by this run. One clip. So he incorporated the fence shot with the window cam, and the British window, nails it backing up all the way, which is just so like this run is actually amazing. Like, I am really impressed with this. Nails it. I mean, that's a perfect run. That's a perfect run. 125 DLTK. Unbelievable. Cut 6 seconds off his own Untied. I think all you can say to that is GG, to be honest. Like, that was amazing. I'm stunned. I'm truly stunned. That was a great run. 125. I'm complete, like, I'm left. You know what? I have no words. However, JD actually kindly, I messaged him and said, hey, do you have any thoughts on your Surface 2 runs? And he did. So let's have a listen to JD's thoughts here. He talks for about 5 minutes, so I'll play his thoughts and we'll leave the runs on the background here.
Yeah, so it was about August 2020 or September 2020 when the British Windows strat came out from Whitehead. Was doing like a S2 investigation, and he I don't think he found it originally. I think Kaido found it, but it kind of went under the radar for a while until Whitehead rediscovered it. But anyway, yeah, that came out like September 2020, and most of the attention naturally went to 00 Agent at first. But yeah, Boss got 133 as an Untied, which was originally 134. So 1 second Untied with the British window strategy. And, you know, I was watching that run. I was like, you know what? If I YOLO'd this a bit harder, this is a pretty free Untied, honestly. And at that point in September 2020, I was playing out of my mind. I was getting a lot of world records in like the main game, not LTK records, you know. So, and I had never gotten an Untied of any kind before. So I decided, you know what, why not? Let's go for this Untied. And so I think it took me like 2 nights. I was originally playing without the fence shot strategy. I was just playing it pretty vanilla, doing the exact same strat Bobs was using. I was only really going for the fence shot if I had like a slow start, like a 2 or 3 clip first cam. And on my 131, I that's actually what happened. I had like a 2 clip first cam, so and a kind of slow second camera. So I decided to go for the fence shot. I hit it, and I guess the rest is history. clutched the run. I clutched the strat of luring the KF7 guard into the tower, which was the strat boss used. And yeah, got the Untied, which was a pretty nice feeling, even if it was a LTK Untied, which isn't as prestigious as an Untied in the main game, but still, it was pretty nice to have. And then I went on to play 00 and LTK at the same time. I was aiming for the Untied on LTK because I knew that would be a lot easier than the Untied on 00. Like, everyone was playing 00, but I figured, you know what, if I could snipe this LTK, at least I have a nice little LTK sweep. And that ended up happening. I got 124 with the regular 00 agent strategy, more or less. You know, the difference being you can actually shoot that KF7 guard on LTK. So it was a lot easier there just to do the normal 00 agent strategy. So that was nice. I got a little sweep. And then a few days later, I fluked the Untied on 00 agent too. So all of a sudden, I had a 500-point sweep on S2, which was crazy. And Untied on 3/5 of the level. And eventually I lost the 00 agent. Clemens got his 118. But I still had the LTK times. And about a month later, after all that craziness happened, I figured, you know what? Why don't we get this DLTK time down too? Because there's actually a faster strat on DLTK without having to kill that KF7 guard. If you just hang a bit to the left after the tower, after you do the window shot, he won't see you. He'll just run right past you because he's like too far away to see you for some reason. And so I was able to just hang a little more to the left after I got that window shot and do the British window strategy. And that is how I untied my DLTK to 125, which at the time was a 8-second untied, which is pretty nice. And to this day, it's 6-second untied still. No one's bothered to do the fence shot strategy on DLTK still. So, but like theoretically, it could go as low as 00 if someone really wanted to degen hard enough. But I doubt it because it's just kind of at this point, it's kind of just an extension of the 00 agent strategy. So it could go lower, and that's, I guess, where I'll leave it. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
And that was some great commentary. That was amazing. That was super insightful from JD. And yeah, I mean, I certainly don't have much to add. I mean, that really says it all. His thought process, what happened. It was a great retelling of this era of speedrunning on Surface 2, particularly 002 DLTK. You know, again, agent and secret agent are different. You don't have to destroy the cameras. But 00, LTK, and DLTK have the same objectives, and so it is natural in some regard that they are lowered and competed at the same time. Now, JD did reference a lot of LTK here. And you know what? Let's get into it, baby. Let's watch some of these LTK runs, the world record progression of Surface 2 LTK. And if you recall the first episode of this DLTK SpeedLore, I probably would have, discussed how, let's pull up like the settings here. So LTK, License to Kill, is like a more natural sort of mode that a lot of people could have come up with and did come up with, like, since day one, pretty much, right? It was a popular mode in multiplayer, License to Kill. And it basically one shot, one kill, right? So with enemy health at 0, which we'll see, this means one shot still kills you. The guards still are very accurate and react quickly, but also one shot kills them. And that changes things immensely, right? It's a lot easier in many ways than DLTK. Easier to complete levels. That being said, when it comes to speedrunning, things still do get optimized and water seeks its own level, as we say. And so, you know, getting the world records is still just as challenging as it is on any other mode. But LTK certainly has its own stories and progression and whatnot. And in a way, you know, it's been going... People have been being LTK levels for 4 or 5 years before ever a DLTK level. And so the earliest Surface 2 LTK record that we know of is this one by Garrett Salati. And he was an early GoldenEye LTK specialist in this era. He got 2 minutes, and he eventually had a video of 147. We'll probably skip that in this retelling of the tale. Greg Lavery, Captain Zebo, been over his story a few times in SpeedLore, got 148. Quite a nice solid run. And here's Garrett's 147 on LTK. Certainly a decent run. I think it was like, I remember him getting a bunch of videos captured in like 05, 06 when I kind of first came on the scene. I doubt he held on to this run that long. Well, maybe he got it at that time. So a cool run there, but we'll show this one, a confirmed world record when he got it by Wouter Jansen. Surface 2 LTK 145, done in November 2002. And hey, a classic Wouter Jansen run, always remarkable, always worth a mention, and a dedication to a SpeedLore champion. And this one's going to go to our pal, E Street. A huge thanks to you, E Street, for all your support of SpeedLore on Patreon. Let's watch Wouter's Surface 2 LTK Classic from November 02. 20 plus years ago. And on LTK, in a way, I'd imagine these guys are like gonna get a nade. Although it kind of looks like he's, I guess LTK at the time was unoptimized enough where, you know, it was kind of like, well, people haven't played too much of the mode yet. Okay, no, so it looks like Wouter will get a nade at some point on this endeavor here. Gonna carry on and see what's up. Go over to the second cam area. Usually, if you don't get a nade early, there is like one spot where you can get a nade. I mean, from the guard that almost did in one of Dusky's runs. That guy could have pulled one, didn't. Oh my god, the alarm went off. That actually makes this run like a lot more remarkable. No nade. There it is. The fourth guard he went after for a nade pulled it. Now there's a lot of lag. There's more guards who spawn. So this is actually like, pretty scary. The fact that Wouter completed this is like genuinely impressive. Here, like, oh my god. I was not expecting the alarm to go off at all. That is insane. Chucks the mine. Opens the door, warps, misses the warp. Son of a gun, he missed the warp, baby. But even so, Surface 2 LTK 145. And there are the settings shown. So again, you can see it's not maxed settings. It is still a very difficult mode. And hey, let me know, you know, if certainly there's this whole lore of LTK levels, and we can get into that in standalone episodes or whatever it may be. So let me know if you enjoy LTK as well. So Wouter's time was done in 02. Brandon Sanford, Bix. I think Bix's most famous claim to fame, at least in the sort of SpeedLore, Goose lore, is the legendary video with the World Is Not Enough Lost Media, where he had these insane pause buffer records on cold reception in The World Is Not Enough, but the videos, the videotapes got destroyed, unfortunately. But yeah, there, you know, you've certainly seen that video. It's one of my best firesides, probably my best fireside, honestly, and quite a good throwback to there. But he did get Surface 2 LTK 140, which is a nice run. And once again, I love the play vibe in the top left. A great, wonderful run, quite a character. And hey, this speed run is dedicated to our SpeedLore champion, the one and only Mr. Moxie. A huge thanks to you, Moxie, for all your support of SpeedLore on Patreon over the years. And let's take a look, baby. Hi-fi play, such a vibe. Such a vibe. Wow, he shot that guard. That's... Oh my god, he got hit. Man, when you watch these old LTK runs, and like, I haven't watched them all through, obviously. So much stuff blows my mind. Like, waiting for the nade. Oh my... I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. Brandon Sanford was like a one-of-a-kind guy in this regard. Like, stopping and using the R aimer to shoot at the camera. That doesn't make it easier at all. Yet, he did it. I'm in disbelief. I'm legitimately in disbelief. But the R aimer again. I can't believe it. 1, 2, 3. That almost looked like it was gonna fail. Oh my god, the R aimer again. I genuinely think this may be the most insane run I've ever seen or shown in a SpeedLore. It's up there. It's in the top, like, few percent. I mean... Oh my god, he missed the warp. Surface 2 LTK 140. Captured by base boost. Man, it just... Again, it almost gives me chills. Shivers down my spine. The nostalgia. The full understanding of what went into it. What made this run special. It's a thing of beauty. And I'm glad that I can share it with you guys. This unbelievable, beautiful LTK speedrun by Brandon Sanford Bix. Uploaded 8 years ago, no comments. That is a shame. I'm gonna comment because this run is so unbelievable. Wow. Just wow. And if you thought that was crazy, my friends, can you possibly predict who comes up next in this episode? I can barely believe it or remember it. Somehow, it's none other than me. In my prime, early goose, 2006, recording on VHS. When I got a run, I would use a digital camera with like a 4 megabyte memory card that could capture up to 4 minutes at a time. I somehow did it. I somehow beat that 140 by Brandon Sanford. And hey, it's one of my runs. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's going to go to our final SpeedLore champion, or rather SpeedLore apotheosis of the night, GOP 1386. A huge thanks for your remarkable support of SpeedLore on Patreon. Unbelievable. Truly helps this series continue going. And let's see what on earth I did back in 2006 on Surface 2 LTK. I have not completed too many levels on LTK or DLTK. I have barely any memory of this. Like, I may only remember it because there's a video. Like, I can't think back and definitively say, like, I was playing this at the time. Like, I genuinely don't remember, like, vaguely remember doing it. Barely. Wow, one clip, first camera, that's insane. Like, if I had to really think hard about it, I mean, it's 17 years ago. I mean, do you remember everything you did 17 years ago? Like, not a chance. I think I knew Surface 2 was, like, the easiest LTK and DLTK stage to beat. And, like, at this point, I'd been speedrunning the main game for, like, a year straight. And, like, I'm 16, 17 at the time. So I was probably starting out, like, a bit burnt out and tired and, like, looking for new ways to enjoy the game, like the side leagues and stuff. And that's often what happens. It's often how players get into it. And so I decided, like, okay, let's try the easiest LTK stages. That was cool to go out there and take care of that guard to make sure he doesn't, like, come and get at me later. I think that's what it was. Like, I do remember, like, late 06 when I got this run. You know, being, like, quite burnt out with the game, starting to get a bit resentful that I was playing it so much. Like, you're addicted to the thrill of getting new personal records, addicted to the, you know, excitement of getting a new time and seeing what the community will have to say about it, all that kind of stuff. I certainly remember those feelings, and I guess, you know, Service 2 LTK, this wasn't a big deal at the time, but it's cool to look back in history and be like, wow, I did get an LTK Untied, and there is video proof of it, and that's pretty damn cool, you know? It made its mark in history, and, like, that's all I can ask for, so that's pretty sweet. Here's a really interesting oddity. And this must have become lost media. 2 years later, Service 2 LTK 131 by Clem. I don't know if a video ever existed for this, yet it is cemented in history as a time that it was achieved. And it is actually in the top 10 all time for the longest standing Untieds in this mode. At the bottom here you can see Surface 2 LTK 131 by Clem was untied for 8 years, 8.5 years before Boss tied it. I don't think there was ever a video. I truly don't think there was ever a video for this. I'm gonna have to ask Joris, but I'm pretty sure, like, no video was ever made. It was just like Clem probably was so good at the game that it was accepted that he probably got this time, you know? And back in 08, in a side league like LTK, that was considered enough. That was considered enough proof. In the main league, that started to fall out of fashion around 2002, but in the side leagues, it was probably okay still around the, you know, in 08. And so in history, we have this 131 by Clem as the longest, one of the longest standings ever, standing Untieds ever, and it's there in history. We do see that he would beat it later. You know, that's spoiler alert, I suppose. He would, 10 years later, he would get a video of a better time. But this occupies such a fascinating place, like the history of GoldenEye LTK speedrunning. Like, why the community allowed and accepted it. And again, he was a great player. Everyone probably knew and believed he at the time. But I think the best way to describe it is that it's an oddity that it stands up, historically speaking, looking back on it now. And that just kind of a lot's blown my mind tonight, you know? If we look at the, you know, here's we can see, yeah, so we can see this is the main rankings. He had 126.00 at this time, and so it's like obvious, okay, he's good enough that where he can obviously cake an LTK Untied, right? And so that alone probably gave the credibility. It was like, sure, whatever, man, 131 LTK, like, whatever, we'll believe you, like, that's fine. And it was fine at the time. And I don't think any sort of like revisionist history is appropriate. Like, I think it is what it is, and we accept that he had that time back in 2008. It would be 8 long years until anyone would tie it, and in this case it would be our old pal, the Big Boss Man. And, you know, this was around the era where he was, like I say, getting that DLTK record, getting his double agent 124, which is an iconic record in its own right. 2 nades, the one-of-a-kind double nade run on double agent. Yeah, just amazing stuff. And so this is just Boss kind of, again, I think, what was it, 133 he got on DLTK? It was all kind of coming full circle there. Gonna come over here, blast away the camera. Yeah, I mean, I think you can already start to think ahead of yourself and think, okay, this is 2016. We're going to get into an era soon where we're going to use the British window instead of the nade, add consistency, start going for fence shots. You know, what time or record, how low will this go? And I suppose we'll find out in the next 4 or 5 runs. That's all we have left in tonight's wonderful episode of GoldenEye's SpeedLore. Nice shot there. And this is just a very clean, magnificent, well-played run by Boss. And again, no strats that weren't around in 2008, so certainly Clem could and did. You can imagine Clem's run being basically identical to this. There is 131 Surface 2 LTK by Big Boss Man. A great run, very nice run. There it is, baby. And hey, that's a quality speed run. You know, tying this ancient one. And, but, you know, Boss figured we can do better. And so 2 days later, he would go and get this run, and this one's probably, you know, looks pretty similar. But let's take a look. Looks up there. There's always been a lot of, like, debate and discussion on, like, how much looking up there does or does not affect the guards. I think, generally speaking, it's accepted that is the best thing to do to get a nade pull. I also am kind of wondering, thinking ahead, because the guards are so easy to pass away in one shot. Beautiful first camera there, by the way. If it's like worth going for a nade, if you're going, like, let's say you're going for the British window and stuff, you don't need a nade. If it's still worth going for, to use it because it is a faster technique to destroy the comms than the British window. And like, getting a nade gives you options in terms of like you could use it for a camera or whatever. And I suppose, my friends, we will see what happens and gets incorporated or not. Nice shot. Gonna go in. Because the thing is, even if you think about it, like on double agent, yeah, nowadays the goal, if you're getting a nade in secret agent for sure, is like a full strafe headshot to get the nade off a guard. But that's not easy. It is way easier to get a nade on LTK because any shot anywhere will kill the guard and get his nade. So I am wondering. I'm wondering, you know. We'll see. Big Boss Man, 130, Surface 2 LTK. Very nice run. There's the stats. Beauty, that was done July 2016. Again, same time he got his DLTK, Untied, and his Double O. So amazing stuff from Boss there. In early 2018, Dusky says 20 minutes of playing LTK during a session, he tied the 130 caked this in 20 minutes, going for the Untied. But believe it or not, my friends, unfortunately, he would not get the Untied. And sometimes it happens, right? Like, sometimes you win, and sometimes you, like, it's kind of interesting. I think he tied Boss's record in 20 minutes one night, but then he tried a little bit more and simply couldn't lower it. And again, that's speedrunning for you. That's gaming for you. The one who would lower the 130 on LTK was none other than Illu. We had another beautiful Illu run. Let's give it a watch and a listen.
But you know, even 20 hours on these levels feels like a lot sometimes when you're not getting nades. Okay, no flop. Should have shot him, but I don't know. Oh yeah, it's a great run. Holy shit. Two seconds, LTK Untied. I probably gotta show the settings, obviously, and cheats, I guess. That was nasty.
What a great way to close the run by saying that was nasty. And I agree, it was a very good run. Always a worthwhile watch, seeing a cool Illu record with you know, live reaction and commentary. I mean, you know, I don't want to get too sappy or emotional, but lately especially, like, I just realize how significant these kind of things are to me. You know, it's like, obviously, I'm truly grateful and blessed that I can share this with the world. It's like, these Illu, you know, Illu's a character. We love him. He's got some amazing speedruns, and to see him, like, doing what he does, it's just so cool. It really is so cool, and I'm truly thankful and grateful for that, and, like, being witness to this journey and being a part of it, and seeing Illu do his thing, man. It's really awesome. We were, you know, rivals back in the day, and now I just appreciate whenever he comes up like this. That's just awesome stuff, you know. And great run, 128. But these new strategies were around, and so none other than True Faith, our pal Clemens, would also get a run. And it looks like we might have commentary, we might not. Sometimes he has a bit JD style. Let's take a look. Sounds like we will have live commentary. This is going to be good, hopefully.
I'm doing that kill pretty damn safe now. I really don't want to miss it. Alright, boys, this is the run. We're going offline, boys. That was a sick Untied. Alright. I don't know what that was, but that was an amazing run. Yeah, a little bit worse than I thought, but I guess the last cam was a lot worse than I thought. Oh well. Still like a 3-second LTK Untied, so.
Classic Clem, you know, 3-second LTK Untied, and he's not thrilled with it. I don't, you know, again, he's going for the window shot here. This is so hard to hit. You know, it's because there's lag going on above you. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, okay, yeah, he could have got it in first shot and saved 2 or 3 seconds, but like, the chances of you getting that at the end of everything is just so unlikely. And you know, it's a good run, but it's just a typical kind of Clem thing where he's almost never satisfied, and that's kind of what has made him great in GoldenEye and Perfect Dark to some extent as well. It's like he's always, that hunger is always there, that burning ember to do better. So hey, 125. And yeah, I guess he didn't show the not using cheats in that clip, but you know, he's got the VOD evidence of it, and so it's legit. 125, great run by Clem. And you know, though, we just watched the DLTK progression, and we know that JD Black has that on DLTK. What can he do on LTK? Well, in 2020, again, when all these new techniques, you know, September 2020, became fashionable, let's see what JD does here.
Oh, what? So it exploded at first. I don't know how I got that.
So again, now we're seeing fence shot plus British window. There we go, very nice.
Don't miss the mic, though. Oh, what is this? What is this? What is this? Oh, that was a really good run. I don't know if it's Untied. I think it's at least 125. Yes! Yes! Let's fucking go, dude! Yes! Oh. Yes! Fucking cash to the fucking bank, dude. Oh. Let's fucking go. Oh. That's really nice. What's up, Holly?
No, it's a great run. A great run. He's pumped watching that one again. Again, incorporating the fence shot and the window cam and British window. So 3 things that were not like previously incorporated. You know, Clem had at least this window. And yeah, just amazing stuff that, you know, how much the game has evolved, right? And the thing I love, because I've been meaning to play this out all night long.
Don't miss the mind throw.
Don't miss the mind throw, because yeah, after you do all this, you still have to clutch out this mind throw, and like you can fail, and people have failed mind throws on like very fast personal best world record speed runs, and like that is heartbreaking when that happens. But JD nailed it, put together, got the 124. You know, he did reference this in his monologue, sharing his thoughts on his world records at the time, and just a great stuff. Amazing run by JD. We love to see it. You know, cut 5 seconds off of his record there. Got the Untied on LTK and DLTK. Great and iconic stuff. But my friends, in early 2022, we would see the final run that we're going to show tonight. And perhaps fittingly, you know, if you remember the Surface 2 Double Agent episode, Fernando Almeida, Joey, a specialist at strange and novel strategies. He popularized the window shot on Damn SA. He popularized the fence shot here. He's going to put all together on Surface 2 LTK. You know, he actually hadn't played in a while, and this was kind of came and went from the community, and this is kind of like, okay, I'm going to come back for a bit, and boom. And he got this run, the closing run of tonight's episode, Surface 2 LTK. Let's see what Joey Fernando is going to cook up for us after that insane boost from a Clob Guard early on. I mean, hits the first cam like 5 shots. I mean, that is so hard to do. I would be hard-pressed to do that in 100 attempts. I might get a couple like that. And then all this other stuff, you know. Second shot, second cam. 1 clip fence cam, which is insane. Like, this run is unbelievable. So, second clip, window shot, window cam. Goes for the British window, nails it in 1 clip. Like, the only thing he could have improved was, like, a better window cam. Probably lost 2 to 3 seconds there. But, like, even so, you know. Bit of a mishap there, but didn't lose too much. And 123 Surface 2 LTK. No cheats on. Bingo, bango, bongo. There it is. 123 by Joey on Surface 2 LTK. Unbelievable, heroic, amazing. And if we look at the rankings here, we can see now, you know, there it is, 123 LTK. We see JD and Clem and all these other times, great times toward history. There we go with me at 136. And DLTK, same thing. You know, we rewatched, how many of these runs did we watch tonight? A whole pile of them. And that is the status of Surface 2, LTK, and DLTK. And I hope you enjoyed that look at this crazy stage. You know, it's such an interesting stage because, again, it's the easiest on LTK and DLTK. By far, it's the easiest stage to complete. But even so, the strategies did take a little while to catch up to their 00 agent counterpart, you know? And so it's fascinating to see that throughout the age of history. I especially love how, you know, the Mirror Mage 138 was the first one to get a nade on DLTK. You know, that took so much longer than it should have. And hey, lower is certainly possible in these modes, obviously. You know, 3 or 4 seconds could be cut on each one. You know, the 00 agent record is 118 by Clem. It's still the record from 2020. Lower is possible there, as it is pretty much everywhere. But this is where we are tonight and now, and I wouldn't want it any other way. That's what matters, you know, where we are now today, and to appreciate these beautiful speedruns that we've seen over the years. So that'll do it for this episode of GoldenEye DLTK SpeedLore and LTK SpeedLore for the first time. And let me know what you think about LTK SpeedLore if you want to see more of it. There's, again, so many more levels to cover, and of course we have many levels to cover in DLTK SpeedLore still, which we're going to plan on do probably throughout the most of 2023, I would say. Thanks everyone for watching and enjoying, for all your support. Of course, in particular to the SpeedLore Legends, Champions, and Apotheosis, all listed here. Thank you guys so much for supporting the series so loyally and kindly on Patreon. You know, without you, the series simply wouldn't still be going so consistently and happily. And hey, everyone watching appreciates you, so thank you from me and everyone else who enjoys the series. Of course, thanks to the viewers, chatters, commenters, lurkers, and the speedrunners who told the stories laid out today. A special thanks to JD for chipping in with that little clip of the thoughts and analysis on your records. That was awesome. So, there's Surface 2 DLTK and LTK SpeedLore. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll be back next month with another episode. Stay true, my friends, and I'll see you in the next stream or video. Good night.